Or to the women's psychology. Women are critical of their bodies and fear competition from other women. This is inherent to feeling safe and secure. When you're looking at other women, you're sizing other women up in front of us. We do not feel safe and secure. We want to feel adored. We want to feel that sense of loyalty and security that we are the one woman that you're interested in. Is that realistic? Are you never going to notice an attractive woman again? Absolutely, you're going to notice. One of the things that I love about my husband is how loyal he is. We were at a restaurant and this beautiful woman walked by the window and into the building, and I was staring at her as she walked by our table, both, the window that was by our table and then by our table when she came in. I was staring at her. I couldn't help but notice her. And then at that moment, I'm like, if I can't help but notice her, my husband has got to be noticing her. And so I just kind of turned my head coyly to see where his eyes were, and he had his eyes clearly in his menu. And I'm sure it was not because he didn't notice her. I'm sure it was because he's just that loyal. He is committed to trying to make me feel safe and secure, and I love him for it. And this goes back to pornography. This goes back to comments that men will make about other women's bodies. Please avoid that mistake with women. Granted, when guys are with guys, they might talk like men about other women, and we'll still hate that as women. I understand that that's guy talk, and there's some things like that. But your loyal behaviors, both in your words and what you do, mean everything to us. Women, you need to realize that there is something called relationship OCD. And there are men and women who have relationship OCD who will lock in on attraction, and they don't realize that their mind is getting locked in on little tiny issues with someone's physical appearance, and that it's very much a form of obsessive compulsive disorder. And it doesn't mean you're not attractive to them. It just means that they get caught in brain lock. And there's a way to work out of that. So if you tend to focus in on your partner's physical flaws, or your partner might have some reservations because he focuses on yours, that doesn't mean he doesn't love you, and it doesn't mean we can't work through it, and it doesn't mean he's a jerk. So there's a little shout out. There's lots of information on what causes that. Also, when we talked before about the anxious and the avoidant attachment, the goal here is to create a secure attachment. There are 4 things that will drive an anxious and avoidant attachment. I talk about those in the Lasting Love Academy. There's lots of solutions that will help you to get out of that anxious and avoidant attachment. So check into either the relationship package or getting everything. And if you're just in that beginning stage, you can do stage 0 and you'll learn more about that anxious and avoidant attachment. Okay, women are attracted to strength and confidence. Let's see. Number 5, we've talked about that. Number 5, to the male psychology, men like women who like themselves. We've talked about that. Number 6, men love to be heroes. Number 6, women are turned off by men who are too nice. We've covered both of those. Number 7, men like being appreciated. Number 7, women often fall in love with friends. We've covered that. Number 8, men like femininity. Number 8, women like to be pursued and to feel wanted. If you are not physically sacrificing time, energy, money, if you're not calling her, texting her, she is not going to feel pursued and wanted. When a woman doesn't feel pursued and wanted, we tend to become the pursuers, and the hunter becomes the hunted. And if you feel like she is seeking you, pursuing you, calling you all the time, if you feel like she's kind of, I don't know, kind of being needy and clingy, or acting insecure, it's because you are not making her feel pursued and wanted. So let me give you an example. My son, his primary love language is time together. And when he was young, if I wasn't spending time together with him at the beginning of the week, by the end of the week, he was going to be so annoying and irritating because we have a need to feel important. And we will either seek it through positive attention or we will get it through negative attention. But the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. And when you don't give me attention, I feel like you don't love me. And so if a woman is pursuing you, she is driving you crazy, she's calling all the time, those kinds of things, it could be an indicator that she does not feel that you are giving her positive attention. Give her positive attention, plan dates in advance with her, make sure she knows you're going to call her, text her, and you'll find that she's a lot more easily satisfied throughout the rest of the week because you gave it to her up front. That being said, assert your feelings and needs and explain to her that you are what she's doing that is bothering you, but then pair it up with, sweetheart, I promise I will call you. If you will give me a chance to call you, I promise I will call you. It's really hard for me when you're calling me when I'm at work, or you're stopping by work, or you're texting me all day during work. I promise you I'll call you when I get off work. This will be difficult for her to hear at first because she's not going to trust you. She's going to be anxious. She's going to be worried. Ladies, you need to be able to step back so a man can step forward. You need to be able to give distance for him to pursue you. You need to be that doe that's in the woods that is doing your own happy thing. And as you're living your life, he feels a need to follow your tracks and hunt for you. And so, if you will do those things, he will pursue you more. The more he pursues you, the more confident you will feel and the more secure you will feel. You've got to step back for him to step forward. You can't be the hunter and then expect that he's going to be the hunter with you, because he doesn't need to. If you're doing all the work in the relationship, why would he need to? Secret number 9 to the male psychology. Men like women who have opinions and assert their needs. We covered that. Secret number 9. Women enjoy touch, kissing, and affection, but feel vulnerable and prone to shame after sexual contact. You need to realize that in the dating process, women can be the pursuers of affection just as much as men can. But there's a reason why people do this. It's a false sense of connection. And not that men and women alike need touch and affection to feel secure and to feel valued and wanted and pursued in a relationship. They need it, but the reality is women bear the much greater burden of sexual contact. And after sexual contact, we are much more prone to shame. We are much more prone to feeling insecure after sexual contact, especially when it's not in the context of a committed, loving marital relationship. We are more vulnerable to social stigmas attached to sexual contact. We're more vulnerable to shame that's related spiritually. Women, by far and large, are more spiritually minded overall. And I'm not saying that men aren't spiritually minded, but I think there's a different level of spiritual significance that women feel and importance that they feel. And sexual contact oftentimes makes them feel more used. And so oftentimes after sexual contact, men will just withdraw and disengage and they don't reach out. And I don't know if it's because they feel shame as well, or if because their feelings and needs were fulfilled by the contact and they don't feel a need for closeness and connection right now because that sexual desire was resolved. Whatever that is, you're going to make a woman feel a sense of rejection when you don't reach out after sexual contact. I come from a very religious background and foundation, and we believe in waiting to have sex until after marriage. That doesn't mean that everyone in my religion does it that way, but that's usually the goal. And even if it's just a form of petting or they cross the line into inappropriate touch, it doesn't even have to be sexual intercourse. This is how women from a religious background will feel. And so please know that if you've had sexual contact, you need to, if you want her to feel safe and secure, you need to reach out to her and make her feel that you care and are invested in her. And if you withdraw, you'll make her feel very insecure about your commitment and investment. Okay, number 10, men. Good men pursue women who are approachable and appear to be available. This is incredibly important in the male psychology of why good men don't pursue women, like women think they should, because jerks will pursue a woman who isn't sending messages that she's approachable and available. They love the conquest. Good men are actually looking for and interested in your body language and what you're saying and what you're doing. They actually care and they have that empathy to anticipate what you might be feeling or needing. And so unless you are warm and approachable and appear to be available and you touch them and you really give them the sign that you're interested, they're going to leave you alone because they have the empathy to read your body language and the respect to care about what your body language is saying. Okay, secret number 10, women want men who hold off sexually. It makes a woman feel respected and wanted rather than feeling like an object. There is nothing that's going to make a woman feel more safe and secure than when you hold off sexually, because it makes her feel like you really actually care about her and you want to be with her. It's not about just being with her body. Why was the Twilight series such a huge success with women? And it was because it was all about him holding off sexually because he wasn't sure he could control himself if he became sexually involved, and he cared too much about her and he didn't want to hurt her. And we love that kind of stuff. So I have many issues with the Twilight series, but that's the one thing that I think really speaks to the female psychology in a healthy way, whereas a lot of the other stuff in the Twilight series is just repulsive to me. Okay. Let's see. Number 11. Good men want sex with a woman who feels good about having sex with them and will wait until marriage. I've had many people who have written to me about this saying, no, a man won't wait until marriage. But I just know that when someone really has empathy, they want it to be a good experience for her. And if it's her value system that she needs to wait until marriage, or if it's his value system, um, men will do hard things because they value something that's bigger or better. Why do they go to war? They go to war to protect their country, their property, their rights, their families, their wives, their children. Men will do hard things all the time because they care about something else more. And so I know that there's a lot of people who think that they're not willing to do that, and that's fine. But I think if they really knew and understood what it meant to her, and if they had the empathy to care about what it meant to her, they would do it. Um, okay, number 11 for women. Women want immediate relationships, but trust and value slow progressing relationships. And again, this comes down to what makes a woman feel safe and secure: your time, your energy, your money, and that you do this consistently over a period of time. 12, men need to be needed. We talked about that. Women long to feel adored. We talked about that. 13, men are repelled by criticism, nagging, and whining. Number 13, women are repelled by moping, brooding, and the silent treatment. We did that. Number 14, a man experiences anxiety in every conversation a woman initiates until she tells him what she wants him to do. We basically covered this before without those dreaded words of, we need to talk. You know what I mean? So, in general, the moment that a woman says, hey, can we talk, or we need to talk, his anxiety goes up. And the faster she moves to telling him what she wants him to do, the quicker his anxiety goes down. He just needs to know how to make you happy. And if he has empathy and he cares about your feelings and needs, the sooner you get to what you need, the sooner he's going to feel engaged and hopeful and confident that he can please you. Secret number 14, women worry. They need to know they're not alone in dealing with the problems of the relationship. We talked about that. 15, men bond through doing activities and talking about things more than they do through talking about people, problems, feelings, and ideas. So there are 3 levels of bonding. There is the level of bonding of doing things and activities, or talking about things and activities. Men do that type of bonding very easily. That's their preferred form of bonding. They do that with men all the time. It's easy, relaxing, comforting, comfortable. It's engaging. They love it. Women tend to talk about people and problems. That's how we tend to bond with each other. The downside of talking about things and activities is it can feel very superficial to a woman. We would be deeply offended if we, played racquetball with friends every single week and we didn't even know one of them, was going through some kind of a family crisis. Like, we would be so hurt that they didn't share that with us. Whereas guys could be playing racquetball every single week and they might not even know one of them is going through a divorce, or one of their family members just died. They wouldn't question the validity of the friendship because there wasn't deeper sharing and vulnerability that way, but a woman would. The downside of talking about people and problems from a man's perspective is it feels like people can get addicted to having problems, and it can feel like gossip, and it can feel negative. So men have a harder time with talking about people and problems. That's the downside. Talking about feelings and ideas Both men and women love to talk about feelings and ideas when the other person acts curious and respectful about their feelings and ideas. You want a guy to talk more? Show curiosity and respect about his feelings and ideas. Men, you want a woman to feel safe and secure? Take the time to listen to her complain about people and problems, and then try to kind of elevate it to feelings and ideas. Validate. We don't care how much you know until we feel that you care. And it goes back to that video on It's Not About the Nail. I don't know if you guys have seen that on YouTube, but it's a funny little video that kind of demonstrates the differences between men and women. He wants to get the nail out of her head, and she just wants to complain about the nail that's in her head. We really do need men to just listen and validate and understand before we're going to be ready to have them help us fix it. Okay. So those are the 3 levels of bonding. You just need to know, women, in the early stages of dating, you need to be spending a lot more time doing things and activities, and don't talk too much about people and problems in the early stages of dating. He needs to invest more before he's going to be ready to talk about a lot of people and problems with you. You need to just be able to have fun and keep the relationship fun in the early stages, and then dabble in a little bit of you being vulnerable and sharing about people and problems, and then see how he responds to that. And then you can start trusting and depending on him more and sharing more and more with him. It's the difference between me saying on a first date that I was a sexual abuse victim. On a first date, a guy is going to be overwhelmed by that, and then he's not going to know how to make you happy, and it's just going to be easier for him to withdraw, unless he's a jerk and he'll use that information against you to manipulate you later. Whereas if we've been dating for like 6 weeks and then I share with him that I was a victim of child sexual abuse, now it feels like something he's earned. It feels like something I'm trusting him. I'm depending on him a little bit more. He feels like I opened up and I became vulnerable. It's a totally different experience when I share that after he's been investing in me for a period of time. I hope that that helps. Okay. Number 15, women who don't trust and respect their men fall out of love, especially if there's no communication. If I share my feelings and needs and then you don't talk about it and you just shut me out, I'm going to fall out of love with you. I'm going to push you out of my life. Okay, number 16, men adore women who give them love, attention, and affection. We did that one. Number 16, women like gifts, surprises, reasonable spontaneity, and excitement. The extra effort makes them feel special. This really goes back to them feeling loved and adored and pursued and wanted. That's why we like it when you make us feel like a girlfriend, not just your wife when we're married. I really love it when my husband brings home flowers or things like that, because it makes me feel like I'm still his girlfriend. Okay, 17. And if you're dating and you're not doing those things, then how is she going to feel like your girlfriend? You know what I mean? And then what about once you get married? If there's no fun and spontaneity and effort now, then she's really going to become concerned about what will happen in marriage. So that spontaneity is so important. 17, final one, good men are often willing to talk openly and honestly when they feel it will help them or another person. So, what I'm trying to say with this one is the worst thing you can do to a woman is have her discover a secret after the fact. If you will keep a secret from us, we will not feel safe and secure. If we find out a secret from a computer or a cell phone, and not that we should be going through your computer or cell phone, but you'd be amazed at how much people just leave things lying around and we might just see something. Or if we discover or we feel prompted that we need to look at your phone, and I'm not saying we should, right? That's a violation of space. But if you're acting funny or weird and something, we see your phone laying out there and there's this weird text that we observe and it's coming from a girl or whatever, there's a variety of different ways. We always end up discovering the truth at some point. I think you just need to know it's not right for us to go in and do anything. And ladies, don't be going through people's stuff. That's not empathy. There needs to be respect. But the reality is that we are fairly in tune and we can pick up on things, and we usually always discover the truth. So the worst thing you can do is not tell us yourself. If we discover it from another source, then we believe if you can lie about this, what else are you lying about? And it becomes infinitely more difficult for us to ever trust you again. So what we want you to do is we want you to be open and honest with us. We're not going to like it at the time, but we are going to feel so much more secure once we've worked through the initial emotion of whatever it is you need to tell us. We will feel so much more secure and confident about you. Men tend to not share things with each other because it's none of the other person's business. Why would a man tell something or burden someone with an issue or struggle that he has? He doesn't do it that way. Men share their problems only with people who could actually really help them, or if they're really actually in need. Otherwise, independence and responsibility are core to the male psychology. And that means that he wants to deal with his problems on his own and he doesn't even think he has a problem. I'm just telling you that if you think she would be concerned about it, you better tell her yourself rather than have her find out some other way or have to dig it out of you. And then, ladies, when he does tell you, do not immediately take over and act like you need to fix this for him or that he's irresponsible or that, you don't trust him. He trusted you enough to tell you. Don't treat him like you're his mother. Don't treat him like you're going to take over and take control and tell him how to handle his life. Men are driven to be independent and responsible. He only shared this with you so that you would be informed. And men are willing to be open and honest, and if they feel like it's going to help you. They don't want to be open and honest if they feel like you're going to treat them like a child afterwards. So please be very aware of that. Okay. So one way to do this, women, is, for instance, when I was in the early stages of dating my husband, of course, I'd been a marriage and family therapist for years, and I'd worked with pornography, addictions and infidelity for years. And so how do I bring up this conversation? I actually had been dating my husband for just a short period of time when I brought this conversation up. I think it was about 3 weeks, and this is how I brought it up. And I simply just said, I feel so sorry for guys. I just feel like there's so much like seductive material everywhere. I don't know how they handle it. Like, I can't even go down the road and not see a big billboard with a woman in a bikini saying 2 good reasons for plastic surgery. Like, I feel bad for the struggle that guys go through. How do you handle that? So I started off with respect that, guys, this is a real challenge and it's a struggle. And I normalized the situation. I showed empathy for it. And then I said, well, how do you handle that? And then it started this great conversation. And he gave me details of what he does and how he handles it. And I'm like, oh man, thank you so much for sharing this with me. And, and I shared my experience of how in a previous relationship, someone had been involved in pornography and been unfaithful and all of that. And I just said, I can't tell you how much it means to me that you're just willing to even talk with me about this. Is it okay if I ask you more questions? And so how did you do that? And how did you handle this? And then what happened? And blah, blah, blah. And, I just really appreciate that. I gave a lot of warmth and encouragement and affection just because he was willing to share. So I hope that you will take that into consideration as you're looking at difficult conversations. Okay, 17, to the female psychology. Women would rather have open and honest communication about misdeeds than be protected from the truth. In general, men feel like they're protecting women from difficult issues by not sharing things. And we would much rather have you be open and honest than to feel like you're protecting us. Again, it goes back to trust.